I'm curious about time frame and whether we're unreasonably impatient. The United States is 220 years plus old. It's more than 160 years since the Swiss Constitution. We've had a civil war as a catastrophic event to try to overcome some of these issues. Do we expect that the EU, that somehow the pace of constitutional development is faster now, or that they should do it faster and better because they've got templates to borrow from? Shouldn't we just kind of go, okay, yeah, they're stagnating, but so did the United States, so did Switzerland for decades during the ebb and flow of 160 plus years of development.
Yeah, I mean, that's really always been at the forefront of debates in terms of the extent to which one can legitimately accuse the EU of failing through a variety of kind of democratic credentials. Interestingly, I think as well, that's a typically kind of American perspective, in the sense in which it seems as if, you know, when American commentators look at the EU, they are certainly more permissive in terms of the leeway they give for the kind of missing democratic element as compared with, say, European commentators, European politicians who would think that time frame needs to be accelerated. And also, I think you want to note as well is, if you look at the development of the party system in the US, you know, that happened already in a period basically of the first 40 years. Look at, say, what's happened since direct elections to the European Parliament in 1979. There hasn't really been much consolidation of European parties across the European political space, even though that's been ongoing now for 30 years. And I think that disparity hints at something really more problematic there.
But like, let's say the problem is solved and the EU figures out how to add political constitutional rhythm.
Which I don't think it will, but yeah.
Do you think culturally that the people of the EU are actually ready to accept truly federal government as opposed to against a quasi?
Right, I mean that's where you get into questions about what kind of citizens, what kind of identity citizens can be mobilized around across the EU. And I mean, I think the best figures for that basically show that 12% of people in Europe actually identify primarily as European. So the others, 40% would identify primarily in terms of their national identity. Another 40%, roughly, would identify in terms of a kind of dual identity. So amongst that, what you see basically, I think, is that the pure European identity is going to be clearly a minority. Rather, it's a question of the extent to which you can balance the two identities and what that means in terms of separation of powers and why you need to have a European system in order to deliver benefits to European citizens, in which a majority of citizens benefit and not just those 12%, who typically then, those 12% will be at the kind of socio-economic class who benefit from free movement, lots of travel, lots of ability to work abroad in different languages, and ability to work globally as well.
So when I was over in Europe, one of the things I noticed was there, we actually visited the American lobby for the I think the German for the European Union, and I was just wondering because that's one of the things that makes me so cynical toward I guess big government or whatnot is the role that lobbyists can play and special interests in shifting votes or entire decisions or I guess things that get packaged into bills. And I was just wondering, I guess, how, if that is what you're talking about with the mistrust about elites, are they afraid of the lobby, or is it something else?
Yeah, that's an excellent point, which I haven't really thought about incorporating in that, but I guess to a large degree you are right in the sense in which there's a sense that the kind of system as it's configured, the system of creating a level of government above the nation state, giving it some independent powers, producing what is in effect a quasi-federal system, helps certain economic interests as well. It designs a free market then in which things like national social welfare protection is undermined. That's controversial in places, not just in France that has a real socialist tradition, but also the social democratic countries in the northern parts, the Nordic countries basically. they're wary then that transferring powers means they're less able to do things like prioritize the environment, prioritize integration of minorities, prioritize things like social welfare. And because, precisely as you suggest, creating a level playing field at the EU level means that you have more commercial interests able to kind of help facilitate the kind of policies that are made for that market.
Well, thank you all for coming, and let's thank Dr. Lynn.